Welcome back, everybody, to the Paladins Premier League. You might see a 4-1 there, but we're 2.5 hours in. It was a long, long set between those first two teams. Congratulations to Na'Vi managing to grab the lead in terms of win-loss and lock themselves in for the first seed, but Spunky, knows their work is far from over.
That's right.
Here joined now by Dolson for our second match of the day, Kanga Esports versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. So we just watched the first seed take on the fourth seed. Now we're about to watch the second seed take on the seventh seed. But I will say Kanga has always been kind of like a kryptonite to NIP for me.
Yeah, this is, and as well, if you look back to yesterday, it's kind of the tale of two stories. It's the same story, but both of these teams are on kind of the opposite side of it, where Kanga, in a long set, give themselves a chance against Na'Vi.
They Kanga'd.
But then Na'Vi end up winning at the end of it. And same with NIP, a long set against Virtus Pro, but NIP come out on top of it with a big win over VP. So it's kind of that bounce back, from Kanga that I look towards, and then riding that momentum for NIP. The conversation, and we've had it up here on the desk because, there's so much data to look at between all of these teams. And even with all of that data, I couldn't tell you on any given day who is going to win. You can never definitively say, maybe you put your money on NIP. But in reality, this is as you point out, this is a Kanga team that in the past has performed very well against NIP, handed them one of their early split 2 losses when only a handful of teams had beaten them previously. So you're going to look at Bittner to, really perform well today and counter out a lot of what Chronix and Evil Eye are trying to do on Kanga's side.
Ninjas in Pyjamas don't have a lot of games left. I believe this is one of 3 they have left to play. They are already auto-qualified out into the single elimination finals bracket for HRX. So they need to get hot now. They've been in a slump for the majority of Phase 2. I think they have to prove to themselves, the rest of this league, the viewers, to us, that they are still among the top echelon here in the Paladins Premier League, because you don't want to go on break. You don't want to just kind of sit on a couple of losses while you watch the placement week take place, and then you just kind of have to get in there in a, again, single elimination event. So they need to be ready to go day 1 of that bracket. They need to feel confident about themselves. That's all they're going to have. They're going to be going in relatively cold. I don't know what type of practice is going to be available to them. And specifically for Tenor, I think just for his legacy, he's been so close to rings and hardware so many times. He's won a couple of things, right? But we used to do that, like that PPL Fall Summer Finals, and then we would do the big kind of international event around it.
Right.
Tenor needs to get that big win on the international stage for himself. He's a couple rings on this squad already in Bonker and Bird, but still looking at Diggy Dog, specifically really looking at Tenor, who's he's stepped a toe on the finish line but never been able to cross it. At this point, man, I kind of want it for him.
I know, you have to. I mean, it's a personality. You love the guy. He's a great personality. Everyone loves him. And you kind of point out, before we jump over to Kanga, looking at NIP, this is the easy of their 3 remaining matchups. This is objectively or subjectively, whichever one means opinionated. Their easiest matchup. They get SSG on Thursday next week. I don't want to look too far forward, but they get SSG on Thursday, and then they round out their split against Na'Vi on Friday. A week from today, they're playing Na'Vi in their last game.
NIPR?
NIP
wow,
and
dude,
Na'Vi.
Let's go. What a great way to end.
Next Friday to end the split for both of those teams.
Nice.
So you talk about momentum and trying to get some wind at your sails.
What
this
a
is
sick
This is
last
arguably the game. This is the only, I don't know, maybe confident game for NIP.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kanga, though, and kind of looking at them, they have a couple of games left in the split as well. Doesn't get much easier for them. They get NIP today, and then they fight against Virtus Pro, I believe, next week. So it's not an easy road for Kanga. Such a hot and cold team, right? I mean, you kind of jokingly said it. You look at their set yesterday. They're in 6 games, and they kind of drop it, right? So it's
hot and cold. I would say they're hot then cold in every set. They always feel like they start out strong. They've self-diagnosed as, we just got to finish a damn set, man. We always come to play against a lot of these top-tier teams. And boy, oh boy, you might even argue that they have done some to coin this meta, right?
Yeah, I agree.
my man's took Strix. I wasn't there for that set, but, you know, basically all 7 games, they're snagging it as soon as possible. Chronix has been a beast this year on the DPS role, almost defining. And I will also say, as he stepped into fatherhood, he has also stepped up here. Evil Eye has done very, very well in recent memory as well, playing a lot of different stuff. And I just love the dynamic that Kanga have going for whatever character it is. It feels like when they can get in their zone and perform their roles, Chronix softens targets up, Rhino and Evil Eye dive in and finish it.
Yep. That's
when Kanga looks to be their most successful.
And they're such a sneaky team to watch because they're probably the best. They sit at the 7th seed right now in the PPL, and there's no way that does them justice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's only because of the number 7, because you compare them with any of the other teams, and 7 means they're second to last. But then you compare them with all the teams above them. I mean, they're certainly in the mix. And, you know, we watch Chronix. He's kind of got that tried and true, the potential to pop off every single game. They joke around and say, we're going to put him on the Strix or on the Leon or the Cassie and just let him carry us. I mean, they know kind of where their core is in Chronix, and the rest of them can play around him so well. So I look, you know, picks and bans today, making sure that he has favorable matchups around him, in front of him, behind him. If you can lift him up, I think that's your best chance of beating NIP, and then changing the meta, as you point out. That's kind of NIP's game from Split 1 that Kanga have started to take as their own.
When you see Chronix play Crunker, dude, you start to understand how he's just
and I'm a big Crunker guy.
So clean on the Strix, dude. This guy, he's nuts. He just loves the aim and loves the game, and I think he's been better for it. Being in this role has been so much fun to watch, because he's been a veteran of Kanga for a while now, but he's only just recently, this year arguably, had to kind of step out of the shadows and lead a bit. Kanga has kind of been led by some bigger personalities in the past. Before your time, Josh Kent, and then Diggy Dog kind of stepped up when Josh left, and then Hades was still on the team at a certain point, right? And he stepped back to that managing role, and then when he's gone and Diggy's gone, you got to look to those 2 veterans, right? Yep. That core of that roster, being Chronix and being Joel's, the only 2 players still surviving from the original iteration of this roster. And that real Aussie core, of course. I think Rhino's done a good job, too. Anytime Rhino's having a good game, they have a much better chance at success. I don't know that he is necessarily known for transitioning into the 3 DPS, but with the way Crunchy's performing in that role, if the meta starts to kind of go that way a little bit, I think Rhino's going to be really good for it again. Kanga have been innovators in their own right.
And you bring up Rhino, and you look back at their matchup yesterday against Natus Vincier. There were drafts where it was like Makoa, Atlas, 1 for each team, and we're thinking, why give Phoenix, you know, either or? And then the rest of the Kanga team kind of take control of the matchup. Rhino goes toe-to-toe with somebody like Phoenix and wins those matchups a good bit of the time. I absolutely agree. I think he needs to be talked about, respected as one of the best off-tanks in this league. And as much as Chronix, you know, I say you want to build him up, surround him with the best that you can. Rhino is one of the best that you can surround Chronix with.
That's what's been a lot of fun to watch, what we can call the rise of Rhino, because he is one of the newer members to the Kanga roster and to the scene in general, right? Gera and Evil Eye, yes, they're new to Kanga, but they are far from new to the scene.
Right.
Rhino has so quickly ramped up on, inarguably, I think, the hardest role to play this year, and ushered himself into that top 3 spot where he is going to go toe-to-toe with Phoenix. And if he gets Atlas, he's going to win against Phoenix's Makoa. The kid is an absolute beast on the off-tank and has to be respected. Very fun to watch them go against NIP and Diggy Dog specifically. Rhino versus Diggy. They're all that top 3, right? My favorite 3 off-tanks to watch in this league are Phoenix and Diggy and Rhino specifically. That history between Rhino and the NIP is always fun to kind of look at. And he's got the power tank right now. We'll see if he can punish him, right? This is that situation you want to be in if you're Kanga, right? You're giving Rhino a really good head start.
Great way to start off their draft. And just to pivot away and then back really quick, if you look at the standings, I mean, I know the seeding for a lot of these teams isn't their primary concern, but after this game, Kanga and the Knights will have the same amount of games played. They will each have 1 game left in this split. Definitely some math to be had. You know, I think the Knights have a slightly
better map.
More favorable map, plus minus. But if Kanga lose here, nothing, none of those little side numbers head-to-head, map plus minus matters. Knights will be 2 wins ahead, or rather, 1 win ahead. Still with 1 game to, I mean, the potential is kind of there still, but it becomes much less likely if Kanga loses. This is a big one for them, and it starts with a great pick of Atlas for Rhino, and Willow as well on Frog Isle. Such an impactful blaster, the mobility, the ability to spam down onto the point, and that's what you're going to get. A good start for Evil Eye as well, making sure he's comfortable on one of the stronger champions.
Willow always has to be looked at and stacked up against whatever hit scan threat. He's going to be looking to swat it out of the sky. NIP have banned away both snipers, Kinessa and Strix, this go around. So immediately your mind kind of jumps to Victor and Leon. Been definitely a little bit more popular, I think, as of late, especially when you factor in what's left in the pool. Like, look at last set, right? Victor was a non-factor just because of the players, not because he is not viable, right? When you see Chronix or Tenor or Invocal involved,
if you need help,
say his name and he appears. Victor is just going to be so much of a bigger factor.
Champions are made
You gotta
by
have the player that
choose,
wants it, though, that is
not the
clamoring
powers
to
they
get
were
after
graced
it.
with.
And I think he's been an impressive performer of it. But I have to say, I think Invocal gets a lot of credit from me in terms of bringing Victor back into the spotlight.
Yeah, and I love this pick from NIP. The kind of 2 that you really pin Victor on, as you pointed out, is Chronix and Invocal. But Bittner over the last couple of matches has picked up the Victor, whether that's been kind of a counter pick to the team they're playing against, or they just feel comfortable having Victor in Tenor's hands. I think he has to be now thrown into that conversation with Victor where, mechanically not too crazy. You sit back, you confirm damage. But Bittner absolutely has that dynamic. He has that ability. So whether this is we're going to take it away from Chronix, or we're just going to make sure Bittner can have something that he's comfortable on as well. Yeah. It's a good pivot for NIP. And they have some good sustain with the Ying, the Illusory Rift as well. Kanga grabbed themselves Leon for Chronix, which I'm a fan of as well. Kind of countering out that Victor. Very similar play styles. They're going to try to mitigate the effect of the enemy flank, enemy blaster. Victor into Willow. Tends to be a pretty good matchup.
And it at least deters or makes NIP think twice about what blaster they would want to pick up, if anything. Drogos is still available. And it's kind of funny the way that Alex and Tenor go back and forth on, like, sometimes Alex is on hit scan depending on, like, if Tenor needs to play the pip or vice versa. These two really have basically every damage and flank character covered between them. It will be the Eevee. Tough character to deal with, but Leon is some of the best base kit stuff to do it. I like Victor just a little bit over Leon when you want to talk about a head-to-head on this map. Just because you think about Combustible Drogos is good on this map.
Right.
Victor's the only one that kind of keeps up in that around line of sight damage via his grenade. I think both these guys have done a damn good job in the draft. I'm slightly favoring Kanga because I want to see Rhino's Atlas just run over idiots.
On the Atlas train.
Let's get it down to the casters and see if he can.
Hi guys, it's me, Fawn, and it's also Kresnik here. We're together, getting ready to cast, of course, and Frog Isle is going to be the map it is that we're going to be on. We have the Victor here. This is not the first time it is we've seen Victor on Frog Isle, but he provides a lot of cover. It's a good backline, too, from what it is that we've seen so far. He's always done well.
Yeah, and he will continue to do well, I'm sure. Victor, very strong pick on this map. They were talking about Rhino's Atlas running people over.
Sure.
That is incredibly dependent on what the Victor is going to be able to do to stop him. We know how strong of a counterpick Victor can be into this Atlas. Just the ability to put on a constant backline pressure, force out cooldowns the Rhino is going to want. And even barraging through the stasis field, also a big deal. Normally, you kind of feel immune behind it, but not this time. And the rest of the team's going to have to think about that too, considering he's running big shield, temporal divide, the entirety of the field covered by that potentially invincibility and speed boost. Gonna have to be something that they keep in mind. That barrage coming in potentially.
Well, they're already looking at danger. The grenade ends up coming out, but doesn't actually get the dismount. And it seems like Victor's already pretty low in the back. The positioning that Kanga have just been, I can't really say smothering, but they literally started the fight with them looking really low. But a good kill on the Joels. They've already taken care of that. Bonker and the rest of NIP have just been biding their time. They didn't push really forward. They've just been waiting. They even conceded danger. And now we see Bonker's going around on the side. Diggy's going around on the other. They're trying to pincer them and force them back away from the point.
Speaking of Victor's impact, burning down the Inara too, just having that counter up for the most immobile point tank is really impactful. NIP have to give up just a bit of ground right now. Both off tanks dangerously low right now, but the stasis field kind of keeping both off of each other. Now they think it's the time to strike. Alex is right in position to pinch Rhino and take him down.
Nice. They actually got rid of the Atlas. He's off of the board now. Gera has to slither away, but he can't slither for very long. He's going to be taken down too. Evil Eye is the next on the list. He goes down. Chronix is also firing from behind that wall. Joes is gone. Chronix is one of the only ones left alive. He goes down, and now we got 87% for NIP to Kanga's 48%. They're not going to be able to touch, and NIP are going to get that first point.
You can see all the damage that the Victor has been doing really close to his ultimate, but everyone else is close too. Alex, Ice Storm, overpower on Diggy Dog very soon. Bonker actually might be a little caught out here. No one's willing to save him. He's going to just dive into the backline. Ice Storm to maybe checkmate some people behind the stasis field, and it's doing a good job at slowing them down. It looks like Diggy's here to strike now too.
You've got the Ice Storm in the backline to keep both of them pretty much locked down. You got rid of Evil Eye on the Willow. You got rid of Rhino on the Atlas. Now your target is Joel. The wall goes up because he knows they're coming for him. He wants to block as much damage as he possibly can. With 2 minutes still left on the clock, Overpower is available. Dome Shield coming up soon after that. They have only really 2 ultimates that they're going to have to be able to be used. But look at how far the payload is.
They haven't stopped it once.
Right, exactly.
They haven't made a move at all to make it happen. Alex getting really aggressive, but the stasis field kind of denying any of his spam. Caught an ice block. This could be the checkmate that Kanga was looking for.
Nice. They actually fear away Bidner, which gives him just a little bit of a brief time while he's trying to run away to actually land a few shots from Rhino straight into his dome. Pick him off. Gera, Evil Eye find 2 of their own, but NIP are not going down without a fight. They're fighting back. They're firing at Evil Eye, but Joel is already on top of that con. The Dome Shield gets dropped to zone him back, but they still get rid of Bonker, so it was pretty much not ideal. He drops the Dome Shield, gets picked off immediately. Diggy follows suit after that, and Kresnik with the facepalm.
He stood on every single seedling in the middle of his Dome Shield. Bonker, no!
No!
So much damage he didn't need to take, but either way, Dome Shield spent. They have enough time to potentially recharge it, but I'm not sure what NIP is going to want to use. They only have Overpower, close to some other ultimates here. Ice Storm now coming up as well. Stasis Field, NIP should just wait till it's down and then take advantage of that 20-second cooldown to find their next opening. You can see now that it's down, Alex, Dicky coming in, Ice Storm used on the side, but what can they find?
They already used it directly on the Joes when he puts the wall up. He actually can't get past it. That wall is actually keeping them from doing it, but nice blink in. He actually gets the shot on the Chronix, but Bidner is the one that last hits it. You got the good Overpower. Alex gets the last hit on Joel's. You got rid of Evil Eye, Rhino, all of them, 4 gone. The only one that's left is Gera on the Maldamba. He can't slither on to actually touch. We've got 15 seconds left. Even if he does, they're going to end up being picked off. They got 4 ultimates for Kanga. They've got 2 for NIP, and NIP are looking to end this round.
With the dismount on Joel's, yeah, there's no way that Kanga's going to be able to contest. If anything, they just gave some more ult to Diggy Dog. Could have just given it up into spawn, but he was definitely the hero of that mid-fight, I think. Sure. Once they got that initial pick onto the Inara, he just ran it down danger. One of the biggest risks, I guess, of holding close here, only having one person watching it. Such a free angle for your off-tank to pressure everybody else. You can see they had 72%, 75, and with the rest of the staggered kills, it all but confirmed this for Kanga, for NIP, excuse me. They need to... I think Kanga needs to play a little bit maybe more objective focused, have Evil Eye focus on Tenor in the back. I think spamming the point and spamming Tenor, maybe just trying to kite away from Diggy and Alex could be the answer, but this map is open sight lines, but still kind of compact in a lot of ways. It's going to make it very tough to ignore them. They're going to need to get those turns in the fight, as in killing the strong back line really early, because they really can't ignore the flank for long.
Oh, man. Walker goes down almost instantly. They just focus fire on him. Meanwhile, they're controlling danger. They're pushing up through there. Dead Zone gets dropped down all the way up that little hill right there. The point still being captured for Kanga Esports. They've got 42% on it to NIP's 9. They have not really been able to touch or make it back. They have the comeback mechanic available as well. They're getting 4% every tick. A barrage to come through, but Chronix is able to peel. He's able to actually do the damage he needs to get rid of Bittner. Bonker jumps down. Joes is coming too. They got the point captured. Bonker still goes down. And because of that, they're going to be able to get their first point.
I was going to say, even if Bonker got his failsafe, he would have immediately melted anyway. Now Diggy's very low, most likely going to get staggered here. Rhino doesn't want him, though. Wants Alex instead. Great 180 to take him down. Just going to, honestly, run back into spawn. Maybe get rehealed by the Ying. They have a ton of sustain because of that support. keep them going. Diggy doesn't get set back, and Kanga just kind of disengages. And I thought they were going to back up, but the Dread Serpent comes in.
Yeah, they want to be able to fight this. They want to push this in and try and even up the score, but Chronix is already pretty low. Good shots from Diggy Dog. The clip's being emptied right into him, but the snake bite, the rest of Kanga Esports have already peeled back onto him. You drop the dead zone on him. You get rid of Bonker. You got rid of Diggy and Bittner around the same time. Alex drops the Ice Storm to try and prevent anybody from walking in that area, but they're already pushing forward. 900 damage on Alex. Another good little bit of damage onto him to finish him off, and you got a full-on team wipe.
God, Atlas does so much damage.
Yeah,
that's all I could think watching Rhino there. Oh my lord, Atlas does so much damage. So tough for an Eevee to get away from him, especially when all the shots are being connected. And I think trying to get back out of spawn, Stasis Field means they have to wait at least a couple of seconds to let it come back in. Cart's still moving this whole time. Bonker has to contest at the same time as the rest of his team. With a second chance force, now Bonker sees the opportunity because he's going to have the flank fight won and not be as easily surrounded.
Their zone gets dropped on the Diggy. He's living at very, very low health. But Evil Eye was taken on by Alex. I mean, he was the one that was pretty much looking at Diggy, dropped the dead zone directly onto him, but a good kill from Alex. He's able to keep him alive. A good rewind as well. Actually gets healed right back up thanks to Ying. And Rhino gets the kill. Oh, well, Rhino doesn't get the kill. Alex gets the kill on the Rhino.
That was actually a sick life exchange, by the way. I know we just saw it from the POV of the target getting healed, but the fact that Bird was able to connect that on a rewound Eevee ending up randomly in the air was actually kind of huge. Bonker pressuring in mid, using that speed from the rocket boots to get back around that corner after getting that trade. And now, I don't know what Kanga are going to want to do here. They could spend ultimates if they want to make something happen, but if they spend ultimates and don't get anything, that's Nip's game point. They don't want to give that to them, at least with that much of an advantage. Battleshot used to disengage, keep his flanker up, and NIP's just going to give up some ground. They want to force them to walk into the Leon, into the strong spam that they have, and get them too weak to be able to contest the cart.
Well, they've got 5 ultimates up on NIP's side, 5 ultimates up for Kanga for a total of 10 ultimates in this game currently. You also got 5 seconds left up on the clock. You're throwing shots at Rhino. He eats the grenade just for a little bit. Wall goes up to prevent a little bit more damage so you can actually get the point uncontested. And the fight's still breaking out. I mean, everyone's using their shots, no pick. Whoever gets the first pick, that's going to mean a lot. You have the barrage, you actually use it to prevent that. But he used the enlightenment to counter that out, to try and see if he could live for a little bit longer. He does, but Evil Eye gets taken down soon after that. Joel's is still on the point. He's sitting there, contesting it. But you already got the rest of NIP ready to go. You got Bittner, you got Alex, you got Diggy Dog. Now they're looking at more targets. They've gotten rid of 4. 2 of them are respawn, and you got a successful defense.
Honestly, I think that was slightly... I know Nip won it very cleanly, but I feel like that could have ended faster. Joel's... You said he used his wall to get in, and then he was DRing on the cart.
Right.
He could have been focused way earlier, but he was the last death. This Inara with no cooldowns. We know how squishy that Inara can be. They waited a little bit, focused on the sides instead. Ended up working out, but it was definitely more of a tightrope walk than Nip probably needed it to be. This was Rhino's good performance chasing down Alex here. All the slugs connecting the fully charged shots. That's the coolest. That just looks so clean.
Yeah, it does.
Tracking somebody at range, because there's a little bit of recoil on the default, the uncharged spray fire from Atlas, and still tracking him down. Super clean by him. Joel's having a rough go of it. 1 in 6, just trying to get cap time. See how they can move in here. Bonker contesting the point. Rhino getting aggressive here on the side, but nothing yet. That Dread Serpent might be the first opening, though.
Nice. They actually fear away Diggy Dog, which allows Evil Eye to follow up with his Faith Flight to be able to finish them off on that little hill right there. But Garrett gets picked off. That's pretty big. You got 2 kills for NIP. You got 2 kills for Kanga already, and now Alex is diving to the back line. They got the kill on the Evil Eye. You got 24% for NIP. You still got a chance, but Rhino is there. He's still on the Atlas. He's still trying to apply pressure, but no one from either team are on the point right now. They're just trying to win these engagements.
And the overpower used onto Rhino to pull him off also canceled the exile, so they won't have that if Kanga do manage to somehow retake this point. No ultimates up at all. Everything spent. Only Barrage back up soon for NIP, and they're the ones with the hold that's going to make it so much harder for Kanga to get back in.
You've got 75% on the point for NIP. You've got a potential win for him as well. Joel's is able to make it back, but for how much longer can he sustain himself? You got the Barrage coming in on Garrett in the back line, but Chronix is able to get a good shot, good presence to be able to take care of Bittner, but you already got Bonker popping off with a double kill. You got rid of Chronix, you got rid of Joel's, you got rid of Evil Eye, you might get rid of Rhino, and you do, and you got yourselves a game 1, 99% and done. 4-1, a good little dab right there as well on NIP's side. Looking clean already in this game 1.
Yeah, that Frog Isle was, other than that one mid-fight loss, clinical, I would say, for them. Even their defense was pretty solid. like I said, maybe slight misfocus on the Inara at the very last point, but his cooldowns were constantly getting forced early, and that's what you'd expect when you have to play that into a Victor. So much overwhelming damage. Inara and Atlas are 2 tanks that without their CDs don't really do as much as they want to. Their impact in the game is way less. So having these characters that can just soften them up on the way in, make them worry about when they can get away with this, that's kind of, I think, the biggest impact that NiP had against them.
Right, and I mean, Frog Isle is already taken off of the board because it was just one-on by NIP. You got a 1-0 situation. You're looking good as NIP, but the question is, can you continue this momentum, or will Kanga be able to bite back right after this break?
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League. Stamp of approval there for Frog Isle. Ninjas in Pajamas. Diggy Dog silhouette. It all makes sense. It's all aligning here in the PPL.
Right.
Ninjas in Pajamas. Pretty awesome stuff there on Frog Isle, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
Not a lot of teams playing them. I'm starting to get the feeling like it's not just me that doesn't get to cast Frog Isle, but not a lot of screen time for that map overall.
I feel like it tends to be like Kanga, who we always see on Frog Isle. So great from NIP to kind of ride that momentum in from yesterday. Get the win yesterday, come in today, hot out of the gate against kind of an unpredictable team in Kanga. And I kind of went back record checking. If Kanga lose, they have to win next week to jump over the Knights because they control map plus minus and head-to-head. If they win this week, they officially jump over the Knights, but nothing's locked in just yet. So make sure you keep your eyes on next week as well. Kanga not off to a great start, though, to jump over to that 6th seed spot. We highlighted kind of that battle of the off-tank frontliners in this one. I think Rhino had a fine game on that Atlas. But I
Fine
think
is not good enough.
Fine
Damn
is
it.
not good enough.
It's got to be big. It's got to be huge. You're the only power tank in the match. You have to take over the game. Kind of like we saw Diggy Dog do. Look at that 10-3 dominant performance. That's kind of the matchup that I really wanted Rhino to put his foot down and dominate in. Diggy Dog is not only a former teammate of Rhino's, Rhino's almost like the spiritual successor to Diggy Dog for Kanga Esports, which is why I wanted it for him. He had the matchup, I think. Sometimes it's tough, though, to get those in a vacuums. Nobody likes to take Atlas in a toe-to-toe game. It doesn't end up very well for you. Such a solid team through and through, though. NIP with the Atlas, with the Barrack, dominate Frog Isle.
Yeah, and I think that though Rhino didn't have a phenomenal game on the off-tank on the Atlas, he was at least closer to providing what Diggy Dog provided for his team than what Joel's was to Bonker. If you're comparing, you know, off-tank to off-tank, point tank to point tank, Bonker far and away ran away with this matchup. I mean, there's a lot to it. Ying sustain the rest of your team. You have off-tank advantage, you know. Everything seems to work well, but those small kind of, you know, in the trenches interactions all for Bonker. He has Alex's water, which I think is funny.
Oh, he does. Look at that.
What it's worth.
They put their names on it.
Wait, what is that? Does it say Alex? I didn't see what it said. Oh, there was a...
Ooh. Alex. Power move here from the point front line. Could be some dehydration issues for Alex. We're gonna keep an eye on him as this game progresses, and we'll update you with our status reports as we move from game to game here. Alex, though, in all seriousness, though, he was swimming on Frog Isle. Also had a great performance on Eevee. Love to see that when you get the opportunity to, especially against characters like Leon who can kind of give you some trouble and can have just a really good innate matchup. Alex manages to navigate his way around it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the discrepancy that we maybe look to see start to form in some of these pick and ban phases, because it's so hard to lock down like NIP. In reality, I mean, you see an Eevee picked 9 times out of 10, that's Alex, but the flexibility is kind of there to pivot into whatever sort of team composition they want. They had a very standard draft by and large on Frog Isle. Timbermill, I think, is an interesting pick. We were talking to NIP yesterday, late in that set, and we kind of asked them, were you worried at all? You know, it got close. They went to 6 games, and they jokingly kind of said, well, no, we still had all the good maps in our back pocket. So starting to see some interesting choices early on here. I don't know what's considered good versus bad for NIP, but Timbermill for them yesterday went very well. You know, they drafted, I would say, a pretty good composition around it. Buck has been a big conversation piece on this map as well. The verticality that he provides, the early game presence, can be mitigated late game by the Cauterize, and 2 teams, I think, that are willing to try him out.
Kanga traditionally known for their strong starts, but NIP steal away their map pick. Now we're going to Nip's map pick in Timbermill. Front lines are tough to prioritize on Timbermill.
Yeah.
They are all available here and now. I love Atlas for Timbermill just because of the range. The reason front lines are tough to prioritize is because this map is huge. These lines of sights are not ideal for the front lines. Rhino is going to grab his Makoa up next. God forbid they let a Makoa and an Atlas on the same side. But again, front lines are far from the priority of the conversation here. You can see that reflected in the ban section.
We have seen some kind of mixed results from the Con Atlas stack, though, haven't we? Like
Yeah.
both of them wanting to play way far forward and aggressive, and sometimes it works, but you sort of lose out on a little bit of point control. But one apiece here, as is relatively standard, and they're going to grab themselves the Victor one more time. That's been really the pivot for a lot of teams. Once the Strix is banned out, once the Kinessa is banned out as well, Victor tends to be the next guy they want to stick up on that high ground, pocketed by Ying, Damba,
Whoever it is.
Genos, whoever it may be. You stick the 2 of them up there. I think Genos, actually, interestingly enough, is going to be contested's not the right word, but maybe give an edge to the team that has him. And it's kind of a niche scenario, but you look at like what Vex was able to do. It's a very telegraphed strategy. Victor is going to be on the high ground. There's going to be a healer back there behind him. One great through time and space, one even good onto one or the other is all it takes to flip it around. So Kanga are going to have that advantage, that possibility, at least on their side, and sometimes that's all you need, and maybe what Kanga needs to have a really fighting chance here against NIP.
Can't think of a better setup for it than an Ice Storm as well.
True.
That's a really good synergy to have for Eevee because Genos doesn't have the craziest range. He has the luxury of healing through walls, but not cross maps like you would expect from a Ceres or a Damba or something of the like. The advantage he does have is I can go through the walls and then you can leave, right? You're getting 10 to 12 seconds of that healing over time effect after I right-click you. So you're kind of good to run around here. It's be a triple frontline composition from NIP.
Okay.
Remember, this is Nip's map pick. This is their ace up their sleeve. They stole away Kanga's map pick. If they get this one too, Dave,
yeah,
I'm almost tempted to call curtains for Kanga because they're known for the strong start and the weak finish.
Right.
They don't get that strong start. What's the point?
I agree. It's one of those scenarios where we've seen now these big kind of reverse sweeping wins, but map-wise, it's always been this discussion of how important are they really. Obviously, some teams have great maps, some teams have worse maps. But NIP, I can't get a finger, and I think that's a good thing on what they consider their good versus bad maps to be, because, as I mentioned, after 6 yesterday, we've seen all but a handful, and they're like, yeah, we still got so many good maps to go. I think Timbermill is one of their good maps. A lot of health to burn through. I think the Cassie pick is perfect here. Left up there towards the end. Lots of shield break. Lots of potential for big health melting damage. It is quite literally the perfect DPS, in my opinion, into a triple tank composition.
It's a really good pivot.
It depends. I really think that NIP have a good draft. If Victor isn't dealt with, whether it's by the Eevee or by it through time and space, NIP still might have an edge, but I love the Cassie pick into what NIP have drafted.
Yeah, I just worry that it might be too little too late, right?
Yep.
If you're going for this Genos Eevee win condition, Makoa doesn't do great into other front lines, so we'll see if Cassie can turn it all around for Kanga Esports.
Here we go in game 2, and I actually have a question for you, Kresnik. We don't typically see Timbermill like ever. But how do you feel about the triple front line on this map? I mean, this map is pretty wide. The point itself has so many different angles you can get hit from. What do you look to control as a triple front line composition?
Everything. And I don't say that as a joke.
Right, no,
I say that
believe
kind
you.
of seriously. So think about how Timbermill tends to play out, right? Usually it's the point tank kind of trading on the sides, you're poking at each other, your back lines are spamming at the point tank. You're just going to send your Atlas and your Ruckus at whoever's dumb enough to get themselves caught in the corner, right? You're going to trap them there and collapse on them while your Victor spams onto the point and denies whoever on their team is trying to cap it on Kanga. And it could be either one, right? I mean, it's Makoa and Khan. They're not going to do that great against it. Now, look, they're kind of trapping themselves in that corner now. If 3 tanks collapse on them, what are they going to do?
Right.
Looks like they're playing a little more defensive than I thought, but we'll see how the mid develops.
Yeah, I mean, Bonker just sort of backs up. He sees that he's pretty much outnumbered. He's going to try and regroup with the rest of his team. They're pretty much just playing around. Everyone's wrapping around in this very, very sort of almost undecisive fight, but that was a good engage right there onto the Makoa. A good shot onto Ruckus. Onto Ruckus. But Rhino's actually going to end up going down. NIP have this one in control. What looked like a potentially one fight for Kanga by forcing Bonker out of that little zone right there. Turns out to be the best thing that NIP could have asked for because they're at 60%. Kanga are at 9.
Looks like they're using the Ruckus' mobility kind of to bait Kanga as time goes on. And that engage onto the Makoa was more defensive. That was to save Tenor backing up to the point after the Dredge Anchor connected. So a good save there. The blink initially gets missed. The wormhole goes back. He has to use all his cooldowns. Evil Eye has nothing left, and he's going to get destroyed by Bonker.
The overtime timer is a factor now. Bird, Bonker, 2 of them, 1 kill apiece. Now they're just focusing down on point. They want to be able to capture it. Bonker with his own double kill. Now Chronix is trying to do what he can on this Cassie right behind that crate, but he's stuck there. Where did that con body come from?
Where did that con body come from?
Whoa.
I think the cart spawned and sent him flying forward. That surprised me. I love ragdolls.
Yeah,
always
I mean,
fantastic.
who doesn't?
Dredge Anchor missed onto Bonker, and he's going to get... He tried to body block him from going through the teleporter, but he went up top himself, which means Bonker has to disengage, but still kind of bought some time. No one's forward to stop the cart from moving now. Kanga still resettling, but NIP in decent positions right now. A lot of pressure on Alex to do more damage, but cart's still uncontested moving.
Nice commander's grab for Chronix to be able to follow up and end that life for Bonker right there. Diggy Dog finding one on the Gera. Their support is gone. You're looking at Rhino now. He has no sort of healing. There are 3 of them that are just perched up there, but they're actually eating a lot more shots than you would have expected them to. They've got 2 hit scan presences, really 3 on NIP's side. The barrage comes through, but Evil Eye just skirts his way around that barrage right there. Just sort of makes himself known onto Alex, kills him, and then backs off. They force a dome shield, but Bonker gets the kill still.
And the setback blocked by Jules will trying to disengage. They can keep moving this card. An Exile would be fantastic here by Diggy if he chooses to use it, but they're just a little too close to the card for him to risk it. Chronic still goes down to the back to Tenor. Look at this, all this point pressure. 3 tanks on the point, all with full HP. You're not melting through that.
The commander's grab directly onto the barrack, but he's still going to be able to walk out of this situation alive. Rhino has to stack himself onto the point, just like Joel's did, but he's going to fall just like the round for NIP. Now we're looking at a 2-0 already. NIP, man, with this triple frontliner composition, I'm a little bit worried if this game goes on any longer than this next round, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. The small misplay by Evil Eye there with the missed blink, and he has no cooldowns to get away at the very end. And Bonker's been doing great on Ruckus, and it's kind of weird to say that, right? Normally you would see the DPS or the off tank be flexing to Ruckus, but you have your point tank playing Ruckus and your DPS playing the point tank. It's kind of a weird swap up for them, but it's something that's always worked. It's kind of historically Nip's thing that they like to do, and it's clearly fantastic. I mean, Tenor going from this backline to this great objective focus. I mean, he was moving the payload the entire time during that stalemate. and completely wrapped and surrounded Kanga. Kanga got trapped on that roof and had no way they could stop it at all.
Walker has control of high ground. He's going to back up again. He sees there are 3 of them over there, but this time he has Hexifier. It's a little bit of a different story. If he catches people off guard, it's going to be really, really important for him. Evil Eye's really, really low. He's at 1 touch, 30% already on the point for them. Hexifier's up. Barrage is steadily building. You got the Exile. You exile Joels. You're hitting one after the other target, keeping that pressure on him. Through time and space onto point, but they backed off. They're not going to get hit by that one. And Diggy Dog is still watching this high ground. He knows Kronk is around that corner. He does not want to give him any opportunity to peek.
Walker does have Hexifier, but it's so hard to use it.
Oh, the overpower!
Missed, and he dies. Ancient Rage gets forced down, but it's going to get countered by the Hexa.
Here it comes. He's actually just unloading everything. His entire clip, several guns onto that Makoa right there. Garrett's going to go down as well. Now we're switching targets back and forth. You got another point capture. You got another kill. Now you're going to be able to get another zone, just like similar to last round. You have the Illusory Rift up. You have your sustainability, and you have the positioning you need to technically be able to push this one in.
Nim have such a dream triple tank draft
Right.
before I watch this. Good CC for the setback, and actually second chance full heals Diggy. He's distracting for so long. Rhino actually goes down to the back to pressure from Bonker, and Diggy's still alive. And he gets his Temporal Divide up again, so they can just keep winning these trades. Great flick by Tenor actually onto Evil Eye, forcing him out even further. Now this card's gonna just keep on moving, and Kanga just a little too far off to the side to contest.
You've got a minute 50 still left, and the cart has not stopped moving. It's just rolling. And what can you do? You're eating shots like this from a tank, from this triple frontline composition that is so good at having this early game pressure. How can you respond to this? You drop the dome shield directly on point. You try and zone everybody out. Diggy Dog's right behind it. He's just going to walk up to it. He's clapping and laughing. They know the game's already done. They were able to actually net that for themselves, force them off a point. And NIP, they have to be feeling good.
Clinical.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Absolutely clinical by NIP. They knew everything that Kanga was going to do. Kanga did not do anything that surprised them. And I think that might just have to be what they have to do. Honestly. I mean, even they had the Hexifier response to that Ancient Rage the whole time. Normally, that would be my worry, right? Maybe they find a backline with the Ancient Rage, but he found a Hexifier, and he wasn't even close enough to it to hit it.
Right.
He couldn't do anything. NIP just had every single answer.
They did. They had every answer, not only for the end fight, but I mean, even still, it was like the through time and space ended up whiffing, and they just had too much pressure going on.
Whiffs too.
Yeah, they had too much pressure going on, man. I mean, 2-0 on a map we've never really, I can't really say we've never seen before.
We don't see much.
It just feels like we've never seen it before. We don't see it much. It's 2-0 for NIP. Right after this break, we'll be right into Game 3.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins. Two in a row for NIP, even more convincing than the last. Timbermill can at times be a very polarizing map, but that was something else. Kind of a last-second pivot to a triple tank for NIP. I didn't see it coming, Dave.
Nope.
I don't know if Kanga saw it coming, and they did not look very prepared to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, my saving grace in that Kanga draft was, yeah, you picked Cassie, who's
The last second, yeah.
good into,
Thanks.
big health pools and shield break, but that's the contingency that entire Kanga draft kind of lives on. And time again, I mean, it would be Chronics on the Cassie, up on the high ground, trying to poke down onto the tanks, and then pushed back. I mean, it was just Chronics couldn't get comfortable, and it was no good.
18K on the Makoa, 35K 23K.
Yeah.
You know, people just weren't able to be effective on the characters they had drafted. We talked about how, you know, Makoa and Eevee aren't super good into front lines.
Oh, no.
Almost a deathless game there for all of
everyone.
NIP. Alex with 1, Diggy with 1, Bonker with 1. Impressed at the 7-1 slash line from Bonker.
Yeah.
Kind of specifically, man. He does not typically play this character very, very often. He's just playing the point tank. They don't really get a lot of pressure. It's Inara, it's Barrack. Neither of those characters get banned. Most of the time, you're guaranteed to get at least one of them. This is awesome for NIP to show, for Bonker to show that he's still got this in the tank. Like, this is no problem for him to just pick up and run with.
It's that, like, last minute draft pivot, as you point out, to a Ruckus when a Cassie is still on the. I mean, that takes confidence, right? That takes you know, a big amount of confidence to be able to draft that into a Cassie, which is traditionally a very bad matchup.
Yeah.
So to go 7-1 and 6, again, into what many would consider a bad matchup, and nearly go deathless. 1 death for 3 members of NIP, 0 for 2. I mean, you mentioned if they take that map, this set could be over. I mean, I think that convincingly, you might even further have a point. This is, I really do think this is it. If NIP are able to take this one, I don't see a world where Kanga win 4 straight.
Well, Frog Isle was Kanga's map pick, and Nip 4 won them there. And now this is obviously a hilariously different team, but Bonker did win his first World Championship and his MVP on Frog Isle. Bird was a part of that team as well. That's a good map for them. I think Timbermill is something they're refining, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trying to make it a part of their core rotation. But if that's the way the first 2 games of this set has gone, and Nip still are in that situation where they quote-unquote save the best maps for last, then Kanga are dusted at this point. There's no hope if Nip's best maps are still to come. Frozen Guard is next. Kanga have selected it. We are in loser's pick at this point. Trying to bring this one back as best they can. Nip first pick. Again, this is Kanga's map pick, but they have elected to go second.
And the Strix banned out. Against any team, it makes sense. I think against Kanga, it's almost a must because of the way Chronix plays.
A lot of pressure on Chronix today, man. That's what I
mean,
feel.
it seems to be, honestly, the way we highlighted. It's like if you can mitigate Chronix, or effectively remove him from the game by either hyper limiting what he can play or diving him time and time in game, there's still pieces there from Kanga that can, you know, lift the rest up. They can kind of fill in the missing Chronix if need be, but it's just not as consistent as you look at NIP. Speaking strictly about damage dealers, Bittner has a bad game. Safe bet that Alex is kind of there lifting the rest of the team up, you know, kind of vice versa as well. I think Evil Eye has absolutely, I agree with what you made, point you made earlier before the set had started, that Evil Eye has started to kind of resurge into this really big performing role. Yesterday was a great day for him despite the loss. So maybe wait a little bit less on Chronix, but up to this point, limiting, you know, the Strix from him.
You know, it kind of feels like they live or die as a team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Evil Eye. He doesn't really have those pop-off performances when everyone else is feeding. It's like if Chronix is doing good, it makes Evil Eye do better, it makes Rhino do better, which positive feedback loops to Chronix and makes his job easier, and it just gets better and better and better and better for everyone involved. Now, I don't know that that's... I think that's where they're at, though. Like, everyone has to be doing their thing, or everyone kind of struggles to perform their role. Whereas, you could look at a team like an NIP, or I really like to look at VP. If somebody is, like, hard diving Erase, it is not uncommon to see Fisheko step up and take over the game by himself. And that's part of what makes a team... you know, a top-tier team, right? Someone can step up and do it. They don't need anyone else. It's nice to have. The game goes smoother if they do have their teammates all shoulder to shoulder. But sometimes that's just not the way the cookie crumbles.
Kanga are looking aggressive here, actually, for their first 2 picks with the Khan and the Ashe. We saw something similar, actually, out of Virtus Pro earlier in the day. They went just the hyper-aggressive composition. They paired a Furia in there with the rest of the team. Kanga, I mean, Gera has absolutely played the Furia and you know, done well on it. But I think it's less than you know, what we've seen from him on a Ying or on a Damba or something similar. I think a Furia could be okay. I mean, if you're going for this hyper-aggression,
I agree with you.
Dive composition, very few supports are better at that than a Furia in this case.
My only concern is that NiP have this flexibility with the Barrack first pick.
Yeah.
And now it looks like they're smelling out, all right, Kanga want to get aggressive. That's fine. We'll just kind of pick something that's fairly mobile, right? Eevee and Genos can stay on the move. Barrack can do kind of whatever he wants. He's just going to float around, be very self-sustaining. That's what makes him so flexible. And it's about Kanga's composition keeping up this very, very push-heavy front line that they've drafted. And they can do that. I mean, if Ninu can do it, frankly, I think Kanga can too. Willow looked really good for him. On a map that we traditionally, you don't see like a lot of high ground, a lot of high to low. Ninu did it great from low to high, and that's what made that performance so special. He's got to step up and have that type of performance.
Yeah, I mean, the potential's absolutely there for Kanga throughout their first 4 picks. IO would be surprising if it weren't Kanga. I think that, you know, between them and the Renegades and even Envy to a certain extent have started to add the IO to the game plan a little bit, feel a little bit more comfortable with that. I mean, if you want to look at Be Gone, we've seen it sometimes used to some good impact. Frozen Guard is a map where we're kind of that area behind the point. You catch a good Be Gone, you're going to be getting a couple of kills. So I don't mind the IO here. Loud noises as Buck jumps on in as well. It's aggressive from Kanga. I mean, they're going to look to move forward, bring the fight to you, maybe leave the Wolf back on the point, leave the Fox back on the point, and, you know, 5-man zone you out forward. And IP have some, a little bit of sustain with, you know, presumably formidable Fernando. I'm just very scared of Victor on NIP's lineup. I think a Luminary just makes a scary thing that much scarier.
You know, he's going to be able to rip through this double shielding front line from Kanga pretty quickly. They might even go into Bulldozer late game to kind of diffuse what this Fox is trying to do. Having a Void Grip is like the one thing I want to have against Buck as well, because he's just got the 1 jump cooldown. A lot of aggression here. This is going to be a fast-paced game. Not a lot of sitting on their laurels. I'm excited to get into it. Without further ado, casters, take us away.
Indeed, we shall. We shall take you on an adventure into game, onto Frozen Guard more specifically. And you draft a Buck once again on the opposite side for Kanga. You've got the IO. How can NIP look to try and counter this? I mean, if memory serves me well, I mean, we're about to see in a second. I don't know why, I just forgot. But they had a Willow, didn't they? They do.
They have a Willow on Kanga's side, so they're not going to be able to be too stationary. I want to see Bird run Void Grip range 5.
Do you actually?
No.
Okay.
But it would be helpful because of what Nick said. Buck only has that 1 jump cooldown. Yeah. Okay, he's running it at 1. I was joking. Okay. Thank you, though, Conrad. That's excellent that you're able to show
shout
me.
Shout out to Cornbread.
Yeah, shout out to Cornbread. Fantastic observer. The Void Grip range is going to help him a lot at countering the Buck, because he can't get away once he leaps in. Evil is going to have to play very cautious with his jump cooldown, but at the start, IO kind of giving Kanga that point cap advantage. Diggy's delaying him as much as he can on the side, but the aggression from these tanks are just forcing NIP so far back. Even still, Tenor finds the first pick on Acronix.
Well, he's going to have to back up because Ashe is definitely breathing down his neck right now with how aggressive she's being. She's all up in their face. Really, really hard for them to respond, and you see it right here. Evil Eye with the double kill. They put him on the Bug once again, and he's still able to do what he needs to.
The pressure that Evil Eye is putting on is huge as well. Like, following up on what his tanks were doing, just jumping over that wall unseen, unable to really be countered with with Bird still on that respawn. Now, I'm not sure exactly how NIP want to hold this. Looks like they want to get close, at least with everybody but their Victor, but Tenor's on the ground too still. Kind of holding close. They might want to contest the cart before this curve. It looks like they do. Diggy's dashing through, but hasn't found anything just yet.
They're actually getting a lot of damage on the Diggy, making it harder for them to actually try and enter in. I mean, Bender is standing right in the dead zone. He was trying to push forward, trying to get that kill, but he wasn't able to find it. Rhino, on the other hand, he's able to get rid of Bittner. Bonker finds the opening on the Evil Eye. Joes and Rhino together, though, are applying so much pressure. That Commander's grab is part of why this is a bad matchup for Fernando. Goes right through that shield, threw him all the way back. The rest of Kanga just able to hone down on him and fires, unload clips into him.
This early, I feel like itemization is going to be really tough for NIP. As the game goes on, they might have an advantage just being able to burn down. Getting Cauterize and Bulldozer for the IO, Cauterize for the Buck as well is really a big thing. Getting Wrecker for the Con is going to be pretty big. Grip here on Evil has the recovery, so he's able to get away. Ice Storm comes in, but he already used the leap to get up. He doesn't even have it off of cooldown yet. All it does is slow him down, force some of IO's Moonlight onto him, but not able to find anything. And now NIP, more dire straits. Diving into the backline is the Ashe, but no one's back there for her to get onto.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is trying to keep an eye out for Evil Eye right now, but a good Void Grip onto us Rhino, onto the Con, allows him to be able to focus fire on him. They're not going to be able to get him, though. They're trading out 1-for-1. Chronix, Evil Eye, the two of them together will be able to take 2 down on NIP's side. Rhino follows that up with his own kill, making it a 3rd one. Diggy's one of the only ones that's left on point and gets stunned. The 2-for-1 deal gets stunned immediately as soon as he tossed up into the air. Fetch boy gets stunned, get the kill, and get the round.
The double CC also makes it so he couldn't have used just Immortal that entire time. So tough to, you have to be mashing shift, or I ult on shift again. That's also weird, mashing E with both your fingers. Like, really hope I get this off in time, but not able to do it. And I think they were just holding on to it. You mentioned how the Con matchup is very tough for this Fernando. And you're right, being able to Commander's Grab through the shield like we see here is huge for keeping Nando vulnerable. Luna also stuns through Fernando's shield, which is another huge part of Diggy's going to need to get resilience very, very quickly. Tenor's still topping the damage charts even in this loss. Diggy prioritizing Master Riding, maybe wants to be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe they think aggression is the answer. We'll have to see, though. If they're aggressive and still ignore the point, Luna's going to be racking up the percentage the whole time. 5
ults to 4 ults, making it a total of 9 ults in the game so far. The Fae Flight actually gets taken off high into the sky. The Begone is also used. I don't know if that actually hit her. It ended up making contact, but you're seeing so much damage just fall on a Diggy Dog right now. He is forced to use the Immortal. Literally couldn't get around any of that situation right there. And he's just going to eat a lot of damage. Excuse me. Chronix is going to go down as well. Rhino with a double kill. Evil Eye with another one following up soon after that. You got 9% on the point for Kanga, 27% for NIP. When you got focus like this and you're swapping targets one after the other, you're going to be able to overcome that percentage.
It was a great start by NIP, but Bird just went a little bit too far away from Diggy. The Immortal could have kept him alive, but he was just trying to keep his distance. Most of NIP are dismounted now. Some time and space to maybe find something. No comeback for Kanga either. Means that this cap is going to be fair, I guess, in comparison to the other rate. Alex is getting in pretty close. Alex should be able to get a touch for them. Time and space connects, but Kara dodges it at the last second.
Yeah, he's actually able to flutter away, make sure he doesn't get hit by that time and space. Now you're just looking at Eevee with an ice block. You hit her with a lot of damage, but she still doesn't go down, except for Evil Eye. He's able to follow that up, make sure he gets that very, very last hit. And the damage is coming in from all sides with Kanga Esports, even from the support. Gara finds a kill of his own. They use a Commander's Grab once again to send Diggy back, toss him up into the sky. Chronix with the triple kill. And Kanga with their 3rd point as well. They're looking really, really good. And it's funny because this NIP have already won 2 games. This is the 3rd game. Kanga actually won their last set against NIP the last time they played on this map exactly, with an IO.
Yeah, you're right, but this is way earlier in the set, and I think this is a much rougher draft from NIP than we were seeing in the first 2 games. I also was kind of laughing earlier because we saw a caught one Nando fighting into a Buck, and that is just one of the saddest. And you can even see it here still.
Right here.
You just can't do anything into him. The Eevee was doing most of the damage, and Evil Eye still manages to get away. Diggy now kind of far in the back, but just getting staggered. Tenor finds an angle, though. 14k damage above everybody else. They do trade out onto Chronix, but Kanga kind of still want to keep the aggression up, bullying into these mines.
Yeah, he's just holding this corner right here. The payload has to come around that corner eventually at some point, if they can even make it back to it, to be able to touch, which I'm sure they will be able to. They've still got 1:30 left on the clock. They've got 3 ultimates up, well, almost 5 on Kanga's side. NIP don't have any. Theirs are still currently building, but we've got Tenor pretty much shredding into those frontliners, ripping into them with the full-on clip. And at this point, it's so hard for them to really find that opening. Willow goes around on the side. She's going to be able to find that angle that she needs to on the Bittner. And you already see the Ashes diving to the back line as well. Joel's, Gara, the 2 of them together will be able to get 2 separate kills. Now they're focusing on Evil Eye. They drop the Ice Storm on him, but it's a little bit too much aggression for NIP to handle. They've gotten 4 kills already.
Here's some of the value that Buck brings, right? Both teams are kind of pushing into the other's backline. One is fighting into the NIP backline, and they just fall. The other's fighting into a Buck. Just walks away. Claps his hands. leaves the fight. There's really nothing they can do to chase him. They tried to use the Ice Storm too, and he just walked away.
That's overpower.
Kanga want to convert this now. The overpower onto Bonker, throwing into the backline as far out of the fight as he can go. That's going to make it tough for him to be able to contest the fight. And they're even with the Assert Dominance too.
Right by the spawn as well. They get the kill on the Rhino though. That's going to be good for NIP's defense. But Kanga, he actually gets Void Grip right up there. Joel's gets taken apart right there. He's in sort of a bad spot. The rest of his team are dying behind him, but NIP are able to actually follow that up.
Thank you, Cornbread, for switching to Gera back there, because why was Gera back there? All the way back at his own choke when there was Assert Dominance literally in the enemy spawn door. I guess just too pressured by the Victor, and this is what Victor brings you. This raw damage output combined with slight indirect spam means that people are way less risky when you fight Victor. You have to play so much more safe. And you can tell just by the positioning that sometimes they're getting forced to because of this. They're getting desperate for NIP. Jules uses the dash, so no more DR. He might be able to stabilize here.
They actually get the kill on the Joes. That's going to be pretty big on them. Evil Eye's looking pretty low. Grenade around the corner actually leaves him less than half. A Void Grip leaves Rhino dead. And now Evil Eye tries to make up for it by going up on top. But they can't do that any longer. They just get picked off. The round is done. You got 1-3 score, and NIP have comeback mechanic available for them.
And they might be able to keep this turning with the itemization now finally coming online. Cauterized into the buck will definitely make the matchup a little bit more favorable for the Nando. And I'm also going to say props to Chronix on this Willow.
Same.
We haven't really talked about him.
I agree with that.
It's Chronix on a Willow. We don't normally see this, but the dead zone swings the item fight even further into the side of Kanga Esports. They had caught 8,000 from the first second. You know, they had this full 100% cauterize you can't get any other way right when the game started. So it's been kind of a big part of it. Also the Wrecker, of course, two very shield-heavy tanks, Nando and Barrick, both getting torn apart by that as well. It's a big part of Chronix. Also top damaging too. Just over Evil Eye, but it's so tough to compete with Tenor on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, Diggy doesn't have resilience yet either. I mean, he just ended up buying a different item. I mean, I'm losing a little bit of thought as to like what item it was, but he still doesn't actually have it. Also, when that happens, by the way, more than likely you're going to end up dead when you walk to an enemy spawn like that. I mean, that's pretty wild already. I mean, they are just... what's happening? Can you explain?
Diggy ran it down a little bit ahead of the rest of his team, got stalled by the Khan. Rhino picks up a triple there, just cleaning up on the members of NIP, trying to throw themselves at the point. But that was a play like Diggy was like, all right, we'll go in, I'll use Immortal. He went in, I have 40%. And then that honestly is what that looks like to me, and that's happened before. They might be making another move here, but walking into the Wrecker makes it tough for Nando. Diggy has to back up. NIP don't really have a great touch, especially with the most important piece of their team thrown off the map.
An overpower already available. They get rid of him. They get rid of Diggy, and Kanga get their win against NIP. Nicely done from them. They played that extremely well. I mean, Frozen Guard has definitely been their go-to map. This will be the second time they beat NIP on it.
Yeah, good map for them. Kind of different from some others, so good to have like that flexibility.
Right.
NIP also, we know they don't really like the wider maps a lot of the time. I mean, look at their bans. They ban Split, pretty open map. They ban Ascension, kind of similar to FG in some aspects. So makes sense why they'd want to go here. We're definitely going to be going to a more compact map, I'm sure, after this. But what did we learn from this game, Fawn?
Not to run at their backline.
Look at your ult charge before you int. I would say that's lesson number one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't run to the backline either if I didn't have my, the ult that prevents me from dying.
This cast
3 people.
was sponsored by the letter F for feed.
F for respect. Oh, no. F for feed. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's true.
It's okay.
It's all right. All right. Small brain moment. Don't worry about it. Anyway, the game's already done. Game 3 under refs right there. We're going to cut to a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League. Not so fast, NIP. Kanga stopped the sweep on Frozen Guard with a dominant win. I gotta say, I'm very surprised the way that one went.
Yeah, man.
Not to say that I think Kanga had a bad draft or, they were supposed to get rolled or anything, but when you look at the way their sets have been going recently and the momentum that NIP had already at this point in the set, I don't think I expected them to get stomped out of the building.
No, if it was, on paper, if it's going to be a win, it's going to be like a 4-3 or something like that. It's going to be narrow, maybe kind of a throw at the end for NIP. Were some questionable plays on the mid fight, but make no mistake about it, this isn't a NIP throw as much as this is the potential of Kanga. This is what they bring to the table. They don't always realize that full potential, but it's always there. I think it's a kind of quirky, unique draft, but it's what works for them, and that's what we've kind of been discussing. And they've been changing the meta in their own way. They've really leaned into this IO. Buck has been a favorite of theirs as well. And at 3 deaths is kind of the mid-range. Chronix down at 4. The slash lines really tell the story here. And I think the 1-2 punch of Evil Eye and Chronix, that kind of damaging duo, was just perfect. We talked in the early game about how it's either sort of one or the other. This was truly both.
It's tough to highlight any one player here for Kanga because
it's
such a team effort. This was the true sense of what I feel Kanga's win condition has been, which is just whatever 5 characters it is, just get a composition that can play all together. Everyone's doing the same thing, right? Both of these push tanks are diving. Buck is in there as well, and even Kron. Look at how close they are together. Everyone is within arm's reach on Kanga. They are boxing out as one. They even had their signature IO pick as well.
That's right.
To make sure Jordy always had line of sight. Throw that Fox on the point. Give everybody else the damage reduction and the healing. You look at that NIP composition, it's almost like they kind of, what happened to Kanga and Timber will happen to them here, where it was a little bit disjointed, right? They had this Genos, they had this Eevee, they had ways to get in there, but then they also had Barrick and Fernando, who are a little bit slower.
Right.
Victor, who likes to sit in the back line. It's like strong on the tier list, but maybe not in terms of they aren't all really on the same page in terms of doing and achieving the same goals in these fights.
Right. I think it was the win condition there was really the opposite of what Kanga had, in that you need just one specific person on one specific champion to just kind of blow it out of the water, then maybe everything else rises, whereas Kanga, maybe a more cohesive, maybe a top-to-bottom better draft. These continue to be stomps one way or the other. 4-1 is the closest we've seen up to this point. Bazaar could change that. Traditionally a longer map. The push is probably one of the hardest in the game right now. Very linear. You know where the enemy team is coming from, barring any flanks or anything of that nature. So could be longer, but teams start to figure out these maps. Remember, this is back to NIP's pick now, and at 4 maps in, I don't know if we're getting to the good stuff yet, but they tend to save it towards the end.
So. I don't believe we are. I think NIP are trying to iron out some new maps and
yeah,
it's something else going. Banning out the IO as well. Very weird to see that down there. I think it's only the 2nd time. It's against Kanga, though. Makes sense. They've been rocking and rolling. Going to go for the same start to the draft here, but hopefully ending up in a different destination. Kanga took Con Ash here last game when given the opportunity to do so, but without IO, do they still feel good about what they have? And they almost instantly swap over to the Genos, which, I like for a couple of reasons. They don't have IO. Genos Barrick is such a hard, 2 champions to read. It's like, what are they going to do with that?
Agreed. Too much to give over, and that opens the door for some different DPS picks as well. Eevee has been kind of a mainstay on this map, something to keep an eye out for. Knessa actually, and this is a very small sample size, but just a couple of times Strix stays banned out. I maybe once or twice have seen teams opt to plug in the Knessa instead. They do the same thing, just in very different ways. Wouldn't be surprised, maybe. I mean, a fully charged, steady aim, double shot is enough to delete most squishies in the game. NIP are going to grab themselves Furia, though. Something I think Bird is very proficient on, and they're going to give themselves kind of that big, aggressive teamfight win as well.
Supports these days feel like they can play anything in the class.
Agreed.
It's just about truly that, supporting. What does our comp want to achieve, and who best fills in those cracks? Now back over to Kanga for their next selections. Nobody locking in any damage yet. Damage dealers and flankers usually tend to give away the flavor of your composition more than the front lines and the supports. You always know there's going to be front lines and supports for the most part.
Yep.
And it's how many DPS, how many flankers that really define a composition. It's time maybe for Kanga to lock in a damage dealer, and they it looks like they will. Fat Victor and Skinny Victor. Or I guess regular Victor.
Robotic Victor and Victor, I don't know. Isn't Con Fat Victor?
Thick Vic and Slick Vic?
I guess one of the two. Boomer and Zoomer Vic.
There we go.
No, I think Victor's a good pick. Honestly, same reasons that he's been picked in all the other maps. Good for both teams. Good for confirming damage. Not much more needs to be said about Victor at this point that hasn't already been said. I think Kanga are in a good spot where they were able to kind of hide that last reference for their last pick. NIP are going to have to show all of their cards here, leaving that last little bit of flex open to Kanga. Leon, maybe jumps to mind here. Cassie,
yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Could be a good
Cassie
pick into the Ruckus and into
Willow's
the Ash.
still open too.
Lots still available. But
This map is like, it's kind of noisy
Bee's
for Willow.
nose.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Ziggs, that wasn't very
I'm trying to think about like, what
the B.
area am I just blasting that I have line of sight of for the longest time?
Yep.
And not a lot comes to mind on Bazaar. The point is very busy, very noisy. Lots of pillars,
Loud
a lot of
noises.
little breaks and things like that. Lots of loud noises indeed. I think are going to grab that Willow. Not a lot of great answers to it on NIP.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I actually
Yeah.
do like Buck on this map is like, it feels like you can just get below, you get in that little hallway, that little sub-tunnel, and just kind of walk it down, right? You don't need to burn your only movement cooldown to get
I
in.
think it was. We were talking to Bonker post game yesterday. They played on Bazaar against a Buck. This is sort of a one-off, not necessarily about why he's good here, but Bonker was up on the high ground. Buck was down beneath, kind of underneath the walkway, and just jumping up and plugging Bonker for a few shots. And he said he had no idea where the Buck was. Technically, some mobility in that kit, so not on my NIP's draft here.
No, certainly not, guys. 2 Bazaar games in 2 days. You are in for a treat. This map is so much fun to watch. Enough from us here on the desk. Let's get it down to the casters and get into the fun stuff.
Thank you guys for the desk. It's Bazaar time. One of my favorite maps, if not my favorite map in Paladins, because that means we're going to see some super sick play. Whose draft do you like better, though, Kresnik?
Honestly, I got to give it to Kanga against that Buck. I feel like having the Genos into him is going to end the Willow for the dead zone and the bulk up. Going to be really tough. And I also have to say, us Bazaar fans are feasting this week.
For sure, right?
We've been getting it a couple times, and so fun to watch, so fun to cast over. Definitely excited, as always, to see it. But yeah, this Buck is probably going to struggle. And it's crazy to me because I feel like they just did the same thing to a Buck yesterday.
Right.
They just gripped the Buck when he was jumping away, got the kills that way. Interesting that they would pick another character that I feel like kind of gets countered directly into the other draft. We saw it last map with the Khan and the Io into the Nando. Now we're seeing it with the Buck into the Willow and the Genos. We'll have to see how they end up playing it. It is Alex piloting it this time. I've seen him bring it to a lot of success, but not going to be the easiest matchup he's ever had.
Definitely not. I mean, the same thing could be said for the Ruckus, too. I mean, you got Cassie on the other side of NIP, and you got Tenor on it. It's definitely going to be some hurt. And a nice stun. Good Pyre Strike from Bird to open things up. First blood onto Rhino. The focus fire from everyone on NIP to just be able to burn down that Ruckus is enough to kill him. 24% for him and no percent for Kanga.
Yeah, the Cassie just melting the tanks to pieces. And Rhino, unfortunately for his sake, gets stunned by the Pyre Strike when he's trying to get in, which leads to that kill. A lot of pressure on Tenor, I think, to burn down these tanks. I'd say Cassie is the hardest counter, most like more than anything to Ashe and Ruckus in terms of DPSs. Also have the hard counter to Ashe and Khan as well. Overpower, pulling out of Assert Dominance, grabbing out of the dash. Rhino comes in, but he's marked with big game, immediately goes down, and Kanga get forced into a 5v4.
3 shots immediately, and you're pretty much done after that big game. I mean, he just unloads the crossbow bolts into Ruckus, and he just melts. But Victor Chronix is at the top of the damage charts. Alex, no kills, no deaths, but plenty of assists. 2-0, 2-0, 1-0, and no one's died yet on NIP's side. The aggression is certainly there, And we see that they're positioning themselves in a way that's going to be able to keep this aggression going. But Diggy might actually be a little bit too far up. He has to charge back out. Rhino comes right around the corner to try and follow up on that, but they don't get a kill.
Diggy was topping the damage charts for his team after we saw what Tenor did to Rhino on Ruckus, which is even crazier to me. Rhino's missiles unfortunately get blocked by the awning, but they do get the cleanup onto Bonker. Not so low. They know where Alex is, but he's probably just going to walk. Does not get the recovery in time. Almost made it out.
Right.
Trading for the Willow makes the stagger a little bit less impactful for Kanga. Scout means no hidden information from them as well. NIP now need to wait for their spawns so they can make anything happen, but not in the worst position. A couple ults they can spend if they want, but a minute 30 left on the clock. I wouldn't see why they'd hesitate too much to use them.
Minute 25 seconds left. You've got the Inflame, you've got the Overpower. You hear the Fake Fly that actually just went off thanks to Kanga Esports. Evil Eye on the Willow once again. Alex has to back up, doesn't want to eat too much damage. He has the Inflame, but he's pretty much getting zoned down by Evil Eye all on his own. Chronix comes through as well with a nice barrage to be able to pick off Bird. The rest of them are already looking pretty low through time and space to finish them off. They're using all their ultimates just to hold their ground against NIP.
I think the only thing that NIP spent there
Was Inflame.
They ran Inflame. I think they did Buck Wild as well. Were they close to that?
They did,
spend
they did.
Buck Wild as well. So those two now unable to be used, but they still have Overpower if they want to use it. But 45 seconds to me means they're not going to be willing to spend that. It is a push. Like I said, the first push, you can spend whatever you want, more or less, but I wouldn't spend it for a not guaranteed conversion, especially since we forced out Fate Flight Barrage through time and space on the other side. If they can get the card a little closer, they might start spending, but for now, they're going to have to make it through this onslaught of damage the Kanga are throwing at them.
25 seconds left. NIP have yet to find their footing trying to round this corner. Joel's is watching the right. He's eating damage from the left as well by Diggy. He's holding his ground. He can definitely shoulder bash and get out of there, but they don't want to concede it too early. Not yet. I mean, Joel's eating a lot of damage. He's got the Assert Dominance, a good fire strike. They're just going to unload into him, or at least Bonker is. Trying to see if he can get the kill right around this corner. Going to turn the corner. Going to get the kill. Going to back up right in the dead zone, but he's still looking pretty good because Bittner is able to catch another kill.
And now, like I said, they get the kills, they get it around the corner, they immediately spend ultimates. That's 100% the logic NIP wanted to follow there. Alex gripped, but no damages to follow up. I gotta say, though, Evil Eye's dead zones have been absolutely on point so far at keeping NIP pressured and unable to heal. Alex goes Evil Eye's here, slows him, denies him from touching the point. Now Rhino goes in, but the first kill goes to NIP on Tenor's side.
Nice, you're already trading 1 for 1, or, well, really, it's 1 for done. I mean, the round's over at this point. NIP were able to push in the point 2-0. From Kanga's perspective, I mean, you have to be able to find a way to bounce back. I mean, at this point, you see Garrett position here for the through time and space, manages to clip Bonker right there, but he used a lot of ultimates only still to lose the round. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, they used them a lot earlier, so they're going to have them back before NIP get theirs. NIP only really spent Overpower there. They saved everything else, and they're going to have all 5 on their side, more or less, when this fight does begin. But Scout means they're going to probably play a little bit tentative. There's nothing that Kanga can do that NIP won't be ready for. They have all that information. Inflame, also potentially good at slowing them down. Damage boosted Cassie plus big game onto a Ruckus with no real way to stop it is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I'd expect to see that coming in here. And very early Scout. Again, nothing they can do. NIP looking to get a little bit aggressive. No Inflame just yet. I think they're going to want it to find their first kill very soon.
Yeah, good opening shots from Rhino to be able to force back that buck, and Evil Eye's just collapsing on Bittner. Good dodge roll under there to be able to prevent any more damage so he doesn't get picked off. 24% to 19. Bittner's low, he's still alive. Guerra is actually able to get the last hit. Now Diggy in the back line knows Evil Eye's there. He's going to turn on him. The hit scan is a little bit too much. He's going to be able to snipe her out of the sky right there. Alex uses the bulk up just for a little bit longer. He's staring at Joel's now. Joel's goes down, the Hexifier, it gets ripped out, and he actually is going to use Bonker and actually get rid of Diggy Dog as well. I mean, he just pumps him full of bullets right there. 54% to 39. Kang got the comeback mechanic, and they might be able to close this point out.
Alex did a great job of buying time, and now NIP unfortunately going to have to throw Tenor into the point to touch it. Blast shots to boost himself in. It was you had enough time, Tenor, but it's cute. I'll take it. Right now, Barrack touches the point. No failsafe up just yet to keep himself reset. But the Overpower pulled Chronix out of the fight. That's a lot of damage.
Oh, and it hit Rhino.
CC's Rhino too.
Yeah, it hit Rhino on the side. He tried to actually move up to help out his friend, but he gets hit. knocked out of the side. That causes more damage to actually happen. So now the fight is turned. Garrett gets 2, but isn't enough. You got the big game, you got the big damage, the big crossbow bolts into an even bigger lead for NIP. You got 66% to 99. You've got your chance to build up. You've got your chance to be able to capture this point in such a good overpower one position, and he's still at 30%. He's able to build that right back up, and Rhino's eating so much damage still on return.
I mean, NIP just got a retouch by throwing somebody away and still won, so we'll have to see if Kanga can do the same thing. Bunker up getting dangerously low. Chronic's in a great position to spam him, but Tenor's still here, and they're not focusing him down.
Oh, man.
The disengage just gives it to them for free.
They couldn't touch the point. The disengage, I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's true. Just knocked them right off, made it a lot harder, especially when you're eating big game damage from Cassie. I mean, that is absolutely huge. Alex, once again, on the buck, able to net Chronic, slow down that sprint, and just finish him off. Is there anything that stands out to you, though, Kresnik, in terms of the item build or the damage deals or anything it is you want to explain for me?
Nothing really, honestly, out of the ordinary, I would say. We got Wrecker start on Fury, though. Not a single yellow across the board for her. And I think to me, that says that they thought that Bird was going to get hyper doped.
Right.
So you just want something that'll help you win that battle of utility. In Flame being used right now, there's a flank going on, but it's not fast enough. They're not doing much of anything.
Oh my goodness.
Bird will eventually go down, but they traded it for 2.
They still are able to actually fight back with Evil Eye on the Willow. He's able to get 2, but Buck's jumping in. Alex is looking for blood. He finds it. He finds the body he was looking for. Gets rid of Rhino. Gets rid of Evil Eye. Now you have the Buck Wow. Now you have the Overpower. You have a minute 30 left as well. Nice Overpower as well. For them to use that with only 2 of them on point, that says something. That is a statement. They want to push this in.
Yeah, but I think it's a statement that was misspelled. They just, it wasn't really the best execution, I would say. They had to use Buck Wild to get the kill too, so 2 ultimates for 1 kill without the rest of your team there to follow up. Bunker has to disengage, and 2 ults spent for not really too much impact. Chronix is back now. Great positioning actually up top by Rhino to spam into the backline of NIP. And because he's there, that's such a threat. He has Hexafire, and NIP have to know that. That's a great position to be to come into the middle of the backline. Trying to keep eyes on it, but it's just too tough.
Bunker going around for Evil Eye.
Gonna dome shield it spawn, and he actually gets Evil Eye.
He actually gets that kill. Hexafire actually gets dropped, but it's a little bit too late. They're behind the corner, but they still get 2 people at least on NIP's side. That's good for them. They're still able to find an opportunity. They open the door for themselves. Now they have to back up. Rhino's still on the side. A disengaged Bolt doesn't want to peek again because he knows if he gets shot, he's gonna eat a lot of big game damage.
Some of the stuff that Tenor does is so cool. I love these blast shot, like, what, you know, old Quake style, like rocket jumping kind of stuff we see from him. It's so sick. As someone who loves those kind of games, I love to see it for sure. Now, they have another chance to do this, and a lot of stuff was spent there. Assert Dominance and Fayfly, and through time and space, are what's going to be up for Kanga. Just shoulder peeking, but Diggy, you cannot win this fight. You have a height disadvantage. That is not Khan's forte. 6 seconds, Alex is down. This is looking like a strong defense for Kanga.
Yeah, Alex, Diggy Dog are both gone. You've got the Scout coming in the next round. You almost have the Inflame as well. Overpower and Buck Wow are at 60 and 64% respectively. So they're going to have their opportunity to be able to come back, to be able to fight back. But what a point capture, man. I mean, that is just a testament to how NIP can just take that situation and twist it around and flip the script.
Yeah, for sure. They were able to do a great job with that. And these trades right here, Evil Eye, I think, doing a great job at making that cleanup work. I thought the flank was going to be too slow, but the vision that the Fayfly gave him let him make the right decisions. Even there's really no counter up on the other side for the Fayfly too. I mean, no one other than Diggy can, and Bird, but the fall off is pretty sharp on Furia, can really consistently hit him in the air. So we know how free those are going to be, and because of the damage he did, another one will be online very soon for this mid-fight. Scout used early though, so nothing sneaky again, as always, for one side. Gur has the time and space, might use it, but he's just holding on to it for now, waiting for a combo. Maybe look like they want to engage, but Rhino's holding him short.
He's actually looking for a fight under there. He actually gets Chronic, which is pretty big. Evil Eye's up there alone, but now you have a bunch of hit scan targets that might be able to look at him, but he actually kills Joel's. I think he tried to use the Assert Dominance, but actually just ended up getting killed just as it was coming out because he still has it available for him. 21% for NIP. You got the big game ready. You hit him, you hit the Ruckus with it. He can't peek again. He was going to eat too much damage, and now you have Gara in the back line. You have Bird as well, just pretty much sitting up on point and healing, trying to keep as many people covered as possible during these last few minutes.
Overpower very soon coming up here potentially. Looks like Willow actually jumps in to touch the point.
A barrage.
Out by a barrage, but Gera actually goes down. That's one of their ultimates that they had. Can't use it anymore, and Alex eats all the barrages.
Yeah, he just eats it thanks to bulk up. He's able to actually just keep himself alive. And now Bird's actually on the point in the back line. They use the overpower to get rid of Jones. Now they've swapped targets. They see that Rhino's on the point. Good disengage bolt because that's going to prevent him. Just mess up his line of sight just a little bit through time and space to try and hit it. But it's not going to be enough. Kanga Esports are not going to be able to touch, and they're going to be able to close out NIP, that is, on Bazaar.
That wasn't a save the point through time and space. That was a pad my stats because we're losing through time and space for sure at that last moment by Gera. That was great, I think, positioning on that mid fight by NIP. I was a little nervous about how Diggy was avoiding that Fae flight, but even like kind of just a little bit too little damage on some of the shots. Diggy barely walks away with his life. Evil Eye has to disengage with like 44 HP, not even any chance of him recontesting after that. So great mid fights by NIP, and that's what really matters. Even without a conversion, you win every mid. You win the game.
Yeah, I mean, the overpower was so sick when he managed to actually knock Rhino off of the side when he's trying to peel back, trying to dive their back line. Such good play from NIP, man. That's the type of stuff you love to see. Although the thing is that we still have a few more games to go. I mean, it could be a potential. Yeah, thankfully. Right, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm really excited to see what's going to be the case after this break.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League. Bazaar goes to NIP. A lot of niche maps being picked today. A lot of niche champions kind of coming out and making their staple. I got to say, Dave, I really am starting to feel Buck on Bazaar.
Agreed.
I kind of like this pick here. A lot of ways for him to kind of weasel his way up close and personal where he likes to operate.
I'm trying to figure out Buck in the sense that there's got to be a point where I think teams are just going to start figuring out how to play against him.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what that is at the moment. I know Cauterize has kind of been the one, I guess, end-all be-all answer at the moment if you need like a solidified concrete item way to kind of counter out a Buck. The drop-off late game, post COT 2, COT 3, kind of in that area. But if you don't get to that point in the game, the Buck tends to just kind of do whatever he wants.
Look at this, man. Very, very even split on damage between everyone on NIP.
Yeah.
I got to say, I was expecting Tenor to kind of run away with the damage charts in this one. He had two pretty good tank matchups with a lot of HP that are very easy to hit with disengage to play into. But he's, 4 and 6, kind of kept the lid on him for the most part. It's Alex and Diggy Dog, 11 and 4 and 11 and 6. You're really feeling the impact on these two. Played well together when it was time to go for conversions as well. Birdie getting in there. I love to see some Furia from him on occasion as well. Enflame is the perfect ultimate for Buck as well. More movement speed, more damage. This guy is a very, very simple character. Very, very simple kit. More raw stats is always a good thing when that's all you bring to the table. You just make a bad problem worse.
I mean, he just restored through at least one barrage shot. I didn't see if Chronix caught him with the second. But the potential is absolutely, it's a good point. We talk about Inflame and kind of being that go button, and then you look at maybe what ultimates can kind of spin off of that, whether it's Assert, Dominance, Ancient Rage, you know, all of the above. Midnight pairs well with it. It's easy to forget, maybe not, maybe it is for me, that it's just, in reality, it's just stat increase. You know, it's not necessarily that Buck Wild, it does pair well with an Inflame, but because it makes good things better. It's like a better, you know, Astral Mark almost on a ultimate cooldown. So I agree. I think that's sort of something you have to start considering with this meta that we're in, where Buck is starting to get played a little bit more. People are still having Furia in that conversation. And Inflame, and then a leaping Buck with a big restore. I mean, even outside of ultimates, that is just good ultimate to champion synergy.
Yeah, you really like to see when a character like that, and it almost applies to like a Bomb King too. Look at like how they do their damage, how they build their loadouts. It's pretty simple. It's just, I want to left click more, right? I want more health. I want to reload faster. I want damage reduction. I just want all these things to keep me in the fight. It's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Void Grip's the only thing that can slow that character down, and sometimes that's just not enough. Good to see that starting to peek its head out, especially right around HRX. It's always nice when the meta spices itself up right around the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah.
Let's head to the map screen here. Chance for NIP to end it all on Serpent Beach. Rosengard, very, very convincing win for Kanga, but outside of that, it has been all NIP all the time. A very explosive set. We had the longest 4-1 of all time in our first set of the day. We might have our shortest 4-1 of all time here if NIP can keep it up.
Yeah, I mean, 4-1 not only set-wise, but the maps themselves have all been 4-1s except for one. It's been heavily NIP, though, outside of that one Kanga win, Serpent Beach. I think smartly banning out Io here. Io has been pretty much Kanga's, I wouldn't say tried and true, that's maybe an overstep, but maybe one of their priorities here for healer. Buck as well. We had a conversation about him on Bazaar. I think he brings a lot of the same strengths here to Serpent Beach. Mobility on the push is always a question that we talk about. Buck certainly has that. So maybe keep your eye open. These teams know what they want to play.
They're ripping through this draft.
They know what they want to play.
Holy. I mean, bans were almost instantaneous. They've made 1 point. We're already halfway through this draft. Barrett Cassigenos.
There's the beat.
For
I was nervous. It was gone, and I didn't know.
He looks genuinely concerned about this bee's positioning in his
like
pocket.
Resuscitating myth of it.
Yep. Fluff it up. Fluff it up. Get it good.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right. Back to business now.
What is on it? Is there a clip on it?
And
oh, no, there's its wings. I was like, what is it? Oh, there's a headset on it. There's a mic on it. I was wondering what that was, the thing that goes over its head, and I thought it was like arms or something, but it's a little headset on the bee.
That's funny. Oh, man.
NIP
answer back with Furia.
There is no middle ground.
I don't know. Trying to deter a Willow, maybe. She's still open. To the 8th and 9th pick of this draft. It'll be the Eevee.
While you can.
Kanga grab themselves a Ruckus alongside it. Slowing down a little bit in the back half of this draft, but overall a very brisk pace through this Serpent Beach draft. Both teams apparently getting what they want, knowing what they want.
Where is the goal?
These two slower backlines, Dave, with two very push-heavy tanks. I worry about that disjointedness again happening for NIP.
I was going to say, I mean, to kind of reopen that Furia conversation, she wants to send Ashe, send Khan forward. Leon doesn't necessarily want to shoot forward. You'll get some damage. You'll get some move speed. You know, that's all good. Net stat increase, as we point out. But you're very right. It's quick, mobile, dive potential in the front line with more stable, kind of high above, further back in the back line. I still think it works. I like it, but there could be some disjoint. I agree with you, between too far forward and maybe too far back.
NIP got to focus on staying and playing together. It really looks like Kanga have drafted themselves a hand-in-hand composition. Will NIP close it out, or do Kanga bounce back?
I'm a little bit worried about the fact that NIP are up 3-1 with all this momentum, and then you drop Furia into the mix of things to be aggressive. You're on Serpent Beach. NIP are known for being aggressive, and then you have a situation just like this where they have the potential of popping all the way off.
Yeah, and it's definitely risky. I thought you were saying that you thought it was weird that Nip picked it.
No.
I'm thinking about how I could turn that because I'm like, I don't know about that one, man. I think this is pretty sick for NIP.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree. It is sick for NIP. I'm just worried if I was on Kanga's side.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
the momentum they already have, you couple that with Fury, and you've got aggressive characters. You got 2 off takes. You have the pressure that you would need to be able to just pop all the way off.
I mean, double push tanks from NIP able to walk across. Look at this death ball kind of coming out up top from Kanga. That means stacking all on top of each other. And Usalot actually coming out from Alex. First one to go down. This Evil Eye advancing a little bit ahead of the death ball, immediately getting burst down. Kanga not getting any cap time. Neither is NIP. Just control, though, still firmly, I would say, on their hands.
Yeah, also Rhino eating a lot of shots from Bonker right there. He's just holding on to this, man. I mean, Bidner is literally attacking. Like, he's just blowing up Joel's. You're looking at all these different targets. You see Alex just swoop in, get the kill on him. Carnage is able to at least take care of Bidner. But look at the point percentage, man. 72% to nothing. Kanga haven't touched point yet. They haven't even contested yet. Now they have to back up because they've ended up losing at least 2 of their teammates. They have to wait for them to come back. But my goodness, dude, 81% and Kanga are just now getting on the point.
And now Diggy's still able to hold this high ground, actually. Keeping this controlled is huge, but Scout, they can't really get a retouch if this fight goes poorly now, but it was used early, so they're going to have that last moment to come back in. Tenor now back in, but they're trying to dive in the back.
Nice.
What a great dive, but they actually trade Ruckus forward immediately.
Yeah, they get rid of their healer, though, so that's going to be pretty big in its own right. The Void Grip actually comes out 72% to 81. Kanga are actually slowly overtaking this. They're the ones that are actually now looking to be the ones to actually capture this point. Alex is on the side, though. He gets the kill on the Chronics, and now the fight is still shifting towards Kanga Esports. NIP, Bonker just pretty much just wanted to eat that already. I mean, Diggy dashes in to try and contest, but he's going to go down too.
That was unfortunate timing there. I think no one was really ready to retouch the objective. You have to have that set. That's one thing that you really, as a point tank, or as a tank in general, you have to drill that into your head. If you are the one supposed to contest or touch the objective, someone has to be ready to replace you when things go poorly. Bonker pulls Joel's off the cart, so cap's still going to happen, but a little bit less HP now. Might be trying to stabilize here, but great shots from Chronics actually just melt Alex down.
Evil Eye actually follows up to be able to get that last hit on the Alex, but Evil Eye just gets popped out of the sky like a fly with a fly swatter. That was a kid outside with a pellet gun shooting at it because he couldn't even land on the ground, just melted out of the sky. Look at this pressure from Bonker in main too, catching Rhino also. They just want to walk in. This is classic NIP right here. The actual, all those rockets that Alex actually used on the salvo right there hit so many different people in that little area on that bridge on the side that it actually just shifted the entire weight that NIP has, and they just completely push out on the Kanga. Now they're towards their spawn. They're mounted, but they're going to end up being dismounted. They have such a strong hold right now on NIP's side.
Even though Kanga have the first point, I got to say, that push that I just witnessed, to me, that is such classic NIP. I'd be worried for the rest of the league right now, for sure, with the way that they are playing right now. But as you say that, Kanga do have the upper hand currently. It was a good mid-fight for them. Diggy does go down. Kanga have a chance to get back onto the objective with a shot to push this.
Oh, wow. Nice air shot from Evil Eye to be able to follow that up on the Alex and get that kill. Uses the enlightenment to keep himself alive. He was in the line of sight, but Bonker actually just gets a triple. He's running everybody down. Bidner's right behind him. He's going to follow up too. He might get a double, or Bonker might just deal with this himself. And then, regardless of what happens, you got 35 seconds left. You got a Bonker, you got a Bidner left, and clearly that might have been enough because a triple kill for Bonker, 1 for Bidner. You're looking good with 25 seconds.
Both teams just disengaged, both scared of the other. That's respect to Joel's right there. This Barrack's about to 1v2 us. I'm getting out of here. Kanga have the high ground on the middle high ground, but Diggy immediately, they're not even looking on the right. Nice. Diggy just dives in and melts Chronics.
Oh my goodness, he gets picked off immediately, but Rhino is already in there. Diggy, I almost called him Daigo. Diggy actually just fights back right there.
Dog.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to fight. He's not going to be able to fight back. He's going to be able to go down. Good Pyre Strike from Bird. It's going to stun Rhino. Jones gets picked off as well. 2 targets gone on Kanga Esports' side. And now NIP are able to defend successfully, but we've got 10 ults in the game at the start of the second round.
Which is kind of surprising because people, again, usually are willing to spend them on that first round, but neither team, the cart wasn't close enough. Nobody wanted to take that risk at that point of losing the next mid, potentially not having to come back for the following fights if that were to go that way. Again, this aggression that NIP brought on, I think this was that push where they just got away with murder. Diggy's so deep in the middle of them, constantly getting tanked by Bird in a perfect position to keep him healed. using a shield to kite, using the life steal to stay alive. Everything was working exactly how NIP wanted there.
Right.
Now they have all their ults. Bonker having a phenomenal game so far on that con. 7-1, streaking at 11 right now. And honestly, damage charts are pretty much dead even. Everyone's basically right there. Only Tenor with a small little lead.
Every time in space, try to get used by Gara to see if he can get an early snipe. Not going to be ready. Well, not going to be ready. NIP were ready for it. They're not going to get hit by a Dragon Punch is coming in. They're looking at Os Rhino, but he actually changes targets, gets the refund. And at this, Alex is on point. Bittner has already gotten the kill on the Os Rhino. Chronix finds a kill on the Alex. Evil Eye's actually diving into the backline right now. Diggy Dog and the rest of them are grouping up. The Enlightenment gets used to keep himself alive, but also try and burst a target down, whoever it was that he was fighting in that very brief instance. He's getting a lot of good shots on the Gara, which leaves him at half health, but Chronix is able to follow up. You already hear it. They incinerate them. They want to fight. They want to push forward with 27%. Nice! Oh my goodness. That was sick. A good Pyre Strike as well as a follow-up on Bittner are able to get rid of Evil Eye. They get it just as he's about to dive in. Even better overpower coming out from the con as well. Bonker's going to be able to get Joes, knock him right off the side. And because of this, NIP are at peak potential, peak form right now at 42%.
Peak potential from NIP. They sit on the objective. Kind of covering the left side, but they have to be careful for Evil Eye. He has a pretty much free, he's Eevee. He has a free retouch if he really wants to get it. We'll have to see if they decide to take it here. The locking back Chronix, nobody coming from this side, so it has to be from the other angle. They did actually make it to the point, but Evil Eye actually gets burnt immediately. Ooh. They don't have a secondary retouch. Now Kanga has to throw a tank in.
18% on the point for Kanga, and now rising to the NIP's 99. You got rid of Bittner. Now you're looking at Bird, but look how Bird's moving up with everybody else. That is the type of play you love to see, is he's moving up with the rest of his team, and the rest of his team are able to try and peel back. He's still going to go down, but that opened up so much for them. Good air shot by Evil Eye, though, to take down Alex. And they're going to have to charge back. Diggy Dog's going to have to leave. They're going to have to give him a little bit more respect. Joel's, in this case, is looking really low, and he's going to go down as well. Now, NIP seem to be sort of back in control.
Bit of a cloud fiesta of a fight back and forth, honestly. Everyone's just giving up and getting these territory back and forth. Diving to the back line, Enlightenment gets forced out. He has to blink away, so
the Inflame.
Everyone's still alive. A second Inflame in this fight, and Alex finds the first pick on a Rhino.
Nice, that's the Fusillade damage coming through. He actually gets a double right out of the ice block, 99%. Joel's can't touch because he just got overpowered. Throws him right up and over, at least all the way back into their spawn. It's a stagger, exactly. It's a stagger all the way back to force Joel's all the way back there. It's going to take him a while to jump off, or, well, it's going to take him.
You love to see it.
Well,
they didn't kill him before he jumped off.
Well, Crescent, they weren't there to do it.
That's probably the only reason why.
Crescent, they weren't there to do it.
I'm going to be completely honest.
They literally weren't there to be able to kill him before he jumped off.
And
but
they would have done it just to irritate me had he been within range to be shot. Right now, though, Kanga, on a strong defensive position, as we know, such a difficult map to push. This is kind of the position to be in to do it. Tenor holding onto that balcony, able to spam onto this platform. It's why Evil Eye can't really peek out, because of Tenor's position there. They can look for it through time and space or something onto the back line, but right now Evil Eye just peeking as little as he can. See, Dara peeks for 2 seconds and just goes to almost 0 immediately. But Dragon Punch coming in to potentially break this open for NIP.
Oh, Evil Eye tried to actually use that ice block to body block to not let him come anywhere close to where Rhino was. He still doesn't get the hit, but Bird able to pick up the kill on Joel's. Now we're looking at a situation where NIP have had this momentum. They have not stopped rolling. They almost have the Inflame up. They almost have the Enlightenment up as well. They've got through time and space Scout. They've got the Hexifier. They've got the Ice Storm. They're also coming up for Kanga. But when you got good rockets, or at least a good dodge from Evil Eye for a very, very brief time, you're able to do stuff like that, where NIP, because of Alex getting that kill on Evil Eye in the backline, are able to find these kills, find these shots, and find this round. They've got one more point to be able to close it out 4-1 against Kanga.
Even though the tanks were constantly trading back and forth on point, both of the DPSs were specifically aiming to control that high ground, and you can see why. As soon as Evil Eye was gone, out of the picture, Tenor was so free by Oasis to just keep spamming all the way in. And that's kind of just key to taking this point. Once you get your DPSs as the attacking team, once you get your DPSs on that high ground, far back, so they have to travel a mile from spawn to get to you, it's almost impossible. Honestly, I feel like to hold it at that point. Your tanks have to take no damage while killing their tanks, while being just absolutely under fire from the background. Looking at the items here, no COD 3 for either tank. It's all on the DPSs to get cauterized. And Eevee and Cassie's shots are kind of inconsistent compared to some of the others, like the Ruckus. So Water Eyes might not be super consistent for Kanga. That might be a problem with the burst heals that Furia brings.
Speaking of burst, that shield that Barrett just put down got annihilated. Yeah. The Inflame comes out as well. Bonker finds that opening kill in the Evil Eye. Joel's is having to try and move his way around in the situation that doesn't actually end up getting him hit. Actually, Diggy Dog tries to shoulder bash him, but Joel's actually just gets right out of there. And that shield is still going down, but thankfully Kronos was able to at least get that kill on the Diggy. He's going to look at Alex, but the Fusillade damage, man, is a little bit too much. Rhino tries to push up as well. He's behind Bonker, but Bonker doesn't even need to turn around. He's already focusing on what's ahead of him. 12% already for NIP. You've got Dragon Punch. You've got Overpower. 64% for Ashe as well. You have Assert Dominance coming up, and you have a potential round coming to a close.
At this point, Bonker could overpower anybody, and it would be probably pretty decent as a stagger. Your time and space is still up, though, so they have that counter. He can't be that risky about it, especially since he's right open. Hexafire comes into the point. Bonker's just going to walk away, though. Not much to do. They actually checkmated him with it.
That was
Fantastic
smart
positioning by Rhino to push him back.
It was. They used the through time and space behind him and forced the Hexafire. Used the Hexafire to force him into it. He was stuck at both angles. That was so well played by Kanga. I mean, they're already in the back. They're forced back 75% to 62. The point is steadily building percentage. They have the comeback mechanic as well available. They're going to use Dragon Punch. They might be trying to look for Joels. They're looking for somebody, anybody. They got Oz Rhino. If they get Joels, that's going to be huge. They found their rockets. Chronix is super low, but they're still going to be able to get him 75% to 78. Evil Eye has to blink up, uses the wormhole to get it back out of there, and he's going to have to give him more respect. The Ice Block to keep himself alive, and they're still about to end it, potentially.
That 1v1 might have been just enough. Evil Eye has to go in with no cooldowns. Rhino touches as well, but that's two. They have Assert Dominance on the point to stagger. If they don't feed themselves in, it could be rough, but Tenor does it first. Assert Dominance and the Inflame puts a lot of damage in. It's all up to what NIP can focus.
They're just focusing down Joels. Joels can barely even get on the point, can barely even touch. Evil Eye is able to get Alex. Kronx rolls over to the point to prevent them from actually getting it. Rolls back out, but still gets caught out. In this case, it seems like the game is over, and it is. NIP 4-1 over Kanga. This is the return to form that NIP needed.
For sure. A complete strike back against Kanga after a loss earlier in the season. This is a much better look by them. Great use of their ultimates, I think, at the very end there, too. They held onto the Overpower and the Dragon Punch. That shoved them back, and then because of all that damage they did, that grindy fight, they got Inflame and Assert Dominance up. And if those two ults, if you can't call those ults impactful, I don't know what is.
Right. I mean, the Inflame played multiple roles right there. I mean, every single time it was popped, they just had the aggression. They went in, they got those picks, and it almost always ended up with a kill in that case for NIP to be able to switch that round, or just to be able to switch the aggression as they had and keep pushing that momentum forward.
Yeah, and I like the comp they ended up with. I felt like it was trading back and forth a lot on the side. I was surprised of what Kanga were kind of able to get away with the Ruckus and the Cassie pushing. It's a great combo, obviously, but into what NIP had, I think they were a little better at kind of keeping that high ground locked down. Kanga did what they could. Some great ideas for combos, like the Hexafire through time and space, but at the end of the day, NIP were just playing a little bit better. Those fights were just constantly trading towards them.
They were. I mean, they just looked so good. A 4-1 for NIP. Kanga, unfortunately, were only able to get one game. But NIP, this makes a lot more matches in the upcoming future a little bit more interesting. That much is for sure. I'm excited to see qualifiers and a bunch of other stuff it is that we have planned. But, of course, we're going to throw it right back to the desk to get their thoughts on this match.
Congratulations to NIP. They managed to close this one out before Kanga had much to say about it. One of the quicker, I think, 4-1 sets, especially given how our first match of the day went. Have to give some credit to Kanga, though. They continue to fight, have some great moments throughout that match, especially there on Frozen Guard, showing that, you know, it may not be the most consistent, right? They're clearly not in the top 4, but when they get a good draft that complements each other well, they can take down just about anybody.
And Kanga did take down NIP earlier on in the split, so something to be mindful of as well. Look at the post-game stats here. And, you know, it's been an interesting kind of set to watch because as dominant as they've all been, you know, 4-0 or 4-1 effectively across the board, you know, aside from a handful of plays, I would argue that it wasn't like the flashiest set. This just seems like controlling, good team play. You know, you'll get your doubles, you'll get your triples, but it seems like every single game, there wasn't just one guy necessarily that you could say, well, this guy singularly won them the game. I think the front lines for NIP had a phenomenal showing, not only in this game, in this set. And it's a tall task. I mean, Bonker and Diggy-Dog, a couple of the best, but we highlighted Rhino and Joel's as well. You know, that battle down in the trenches was a big one in this set, and I think that the NIP boys did very well.
It's honestly kind of rare to see Bonker on a non-Barrack Inara pick. Double push frontline is not super common. You don't see it open and available. Ashe has kind of fallen off in terms of her popularity, but to see both of these guys having a good game, right? It's pretty standard fare for Diggy-Dog, but I think Bonker showing us a lot today. Showed us the Ruckus on Timbermill, seeing the Con here on Serpent Beach.
Yeah.
Frankly, a lot of good things for Ninjas in Pyjamas, a team always known for their versatility, but it's good to kind of break themselves out of the slump. It feels like they're kind of coming back into their old form. Right. And that by no means makes them predictable. The old form of NIP is extremely unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get. It could be any smorgasbord of compositions. And I think a lot of that is why you saw at the beginning of this phase Na'Vi trying to nail down new styles, 3DPS, stuff like that, because that's what NIP were doing. They were doing everything.
I agree. And I think to kind of draw a line from that, I think Kanga are still a team that you have to be very, very aware of. You see in some of these drafts, and I think you said it very well, when they get a draft that suits them well, that is good for them, they're always a threat. With a loss here, they have to win next week to kind of jump over the Knights, so technically still in their court. The Knights, of course, with a win would solidify 6th place next week, but some good showing from Kanga today, but a much better by and large showing from NIP.
And a win here for NIP could keep them in the running here for a hop back to first place. Still depends how Na'Vi play. We're standing by with an interview with Bird and Bittner.
Welcome in, guys. Congratulations to your wins, and not only that, well, to your wins, plural. You guys have had 2 pretty explosive wins, first yesterday and now today. How does it feel for you guys? You guys feel like you finally got your mojo back? Or, I mean, you guys have had a sort of a rough split. How do you guys feel coming into it now after 2 really, really explosive wins?
Go ahead, man. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It feels pretty good. It's nice. The biggest thing is being on an upswing for HRX. You don't want to be doing really well all split and then be on a downswing. You know, you see like VP and Kanga who are both doing really good in the middle of the split, and now they're, you know, I don't want to say they're doing bad or anything, but they're definitely on the downswing compared to us, and even Na'Vi that's more on the upswing.
You guys seem pretty ready for what was coming out today. How much of Kanga's game yesterday did you take to prepare against them today?
I mean, they play a lot of tricks on quite literally every map, and we kind of took it away from them. So I think that was a good outdraft, I guess I can say, against them.
Also, the IO bans, too, later in the set. Did you guys just think they're that strong with it, or were you just, after that one game, were you just like, I never want to play against this champion again?
I mean, we played against IO a lot. I mean, most recently we even did it in the PPL against, I think that was Envy.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't really have a problem with IO, but we know that, you know, certain teams, especially Kanga, are comfortable with the pick, just like the Strix, so why not just take it away from them?
All right. On the Frozen Guard, I was kind of critiquing once, because what we were casting, not breaking down the draft, but once it got, I was kind of critiquing the Nando pick you guys had. When you guys pick a character into what could potentially be hard counters on the other side, is there like a specific mindset saying, maybe it's just going to be worth it, like we'll make it work? Or was there you guys just not see that as a downside? Did you not see those counters as that strong on the other side?
I mean, it's mainly just to build our own team comp, so we have something to play with. Even though it might be bad into enemies, we still can find win conditions with it.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys very much. Congratulations on your 2 wins this week.
Thank you.
Fantastic lately, but for now, another match left today, SSG versus Renegades. It's going to be what's up next after a quick break.
Now, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.